What's going on, y'all? Another week, another geek. We are back at it again with the Why I'm Geek show with your homies G and ChrisyLite. Today is episode 98. 98. And we're almost to 100 beans. I'm super excited about this because this is probably my most anticipated movie of the year. And it's just, it's that time. It's that time. But before we get into that, how you feeling today, Brody?
Oh man, long day. I'm back at work and coming home, a little bit time to eat, watch a little anime, and then it's podcast time. So
There you go.
I'm on a tight schedule, but I can't miss an episode, so I'm here.
We appreciate it because we got some things to talk about today, man. Today we're gonna be talking about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1.
There's no way I could miss this one.
First
There's no way I could
impressions
miss this one.
off Chris, what you got? I'm gonna let you go first.
Really?
I'm gonna let you go
Spider-Man
first.
is your man.
You dress up as Spider-Man, so I feel like he's more your man than me.
Yeah, Spider-Man is definitely my favorite hero. I've talked about it before.
For sure.
I've always said I've loved how a lot of the superheroes at first, they didn't really have any flaws, and Spider-Man is sitting there, can't even pay rent. And I don't know why as a kid I thought, I like this guy. Like, he's struggling, but then he's still fighting crime. So, Across the Spider-Verse, what an amazing trilogy this will be. This is definitely the best animated movie of the year.
Facts.
And it's almost not even fair now. This movie came in with so much anticipation, and even from me, I was like, dang, there's no way I'm going to capture that same feeling when I first saw this in theater.
Mm-hmm.
They just do an incredible job of creating the most unique animated movie every time it comes up. And to top yourself after being one of the best animated movies is incredible. And I would bet big bags of money the next one will be even better. Like, I just have 100 faith they know what they're doing. Whatever animation studio this is, I'm not exactly sure if it is Sony or whoever it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. And I'm really glad I saw it. I haven't been in movies in a little bit. This one is a gem. So,
okay,
what were your
gem.
first impressions?
Peak fiction. Peak fiction, y'all. Like, I love Spider-Man like anybody else, right? But Miles Morales, like, is my favorite Spider-Man, 100%. I've been reading the comics of the most recent run, and I've watched the previous movie, and I've been waiting like everybody else for this second movie to come out, the sequel. And my biggest thing going into it was like you said, like, is it gonna be able to live up to the expectation? And just with the first one being so good, how are they gonna do it? You know what I'm saying? And I really feel like the part one was really throwing me off initially, because why does it have to be a part one? Like, why? Like, I don't know if it's like just a trigger for me as far as like putting part one in front of a movie. And it's just like, dang, well, I might as well wait till part two come out, based on recency bias of some of the stuff we done seen previously. But nah, this joint, it was amazing, bruh. Like, the storylines, the freaking animation, the music, the trauma, like, it's a lot. It's a lot to go in this movie, and it's possibly for me like the best Spider-Man movie of all time, bro. Like, all time. And I've been on a little streak recently of bad movie experiences. And I gotta say this one. I gotta say this one off the bat, just because this is how locked in I was when I watched the movie. So recently, I went to go, like, second day that it was out, right? And I've told Chris this story already. But I was sitting in that joint. The row right beside me is empty. It's an early movie, matinee. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking, ain't nobody really gonna be here on a Friday. People probably at work and stuff like that. But no, no. Here comes this lady walking in with her husband and her son. I'm thinking, we're all here to watch the movie. No, no. She came to watch YouTube. And whoever you are, you have issues. Now, this movie was so good that it didn't matter what else was happening around me, bro. Like, I was completely locked once this joint got started. Now, as far as like how it did get started, Chris, I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on just like the opening, because it's similar to the first one as far as like breaking down the storyline of a Spider-Man. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm New York's one and only Spider-Man type beat, but we start the movie off with Gwen. So like, how did you feel about that, with like, that anticipation building up to Gwen being the first person you see on screen?
Dang, so you had a movie experience. I had one too. We didn't go
Oh,
to the
okay.
same movie
Yeah.
this time. And to explain the beginning for me is a little difficult because
Mm-hmm.
our theater, I swear the speakers in the front were the only ones working and the ones in the back were not. So it started off very low, and because we started off with uh
Gwen.
what's her name? Gwen?
Gwen. Yep.
That I was confused, like, is it just starting out like nice and soft tone, blah blah blah, and then it didn't change.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, what's happening? And I kind of, once it started that way, I just thought, oh, maybe this is gonna be like Across the Spider-Verse, a story of Gwen across the Spider-Verse and a story of Miles across the Spider-Verse, and then they
Mm-hmm.
merge or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of understood it, but for me, it was pretty long.
Okay. Okay.
But how are you feeling about Gwen's introduction, her whole storyline, beginning, origin, not really origin, continuation of how
Right.
she's doing in her Spideyverse?
It was a bold move. It was definitely a bold move, especially with the trailer itself. It doesn't make you feel like that's gonna be the first thing that you're gonna see going into it. But I wasn't necessarily mad at it, because for me, one of the like my favorite things about the original Spider Verse movie was that we got to see a whole bunch of different types of art styles with all the different Spider-Man. So um being able to see Gwen, or Spider Gwen, be getting to see her original origin story, getting to see her Peter, getting to see like her dad and things like that, was kind of refreshing to me, because I didn't know what does Across the Spider-Verse really mean. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And the movie is not like Miles Morales Spider-Man. Like, it's Spider-Man,
Hmm.
and they're all Spider-Man. So I wasn't necessarily mad at it. I really liked how like the joint was like kind of like watercolor pastel effects, and like with each scene change, like the mood of her colors and stuff changed, and just getting to see like what her life is like, and the reason why she is kind of the way that she is. I thought that was pretty cool. Still not really a big fan of the Vulture, but if we're going to introduce anybody, he's one that we haven't really seen. So I think it was dope. I think the introduction of seeing Spider-Man 2099 and Spider-Woman was really cool, as like just like, oh, we're in it immediately. You know what I'm saying? Because like with Spider-Man, like you said before, like we know the story. You know what I'm saying? And most of them are pretty similar in nature until you get into the nitty gritty of their backstory and dialogue and stuff like that. So I think it was pretty cool. I think it was like super refreshing. And then like as far as like the transition to kind of Miles, I was just like, yeah, I like this. I like this, like, tale of two cities, or tale of like Romeo and Juliet, if you want to go
Yep.
there,
In a way, yeah.
in a way of like, okay, now we're here. It's kind of like the Ratchet and Clank game,
Yep,
The most
exactly.
recent one, Rift Apart, where we would play as Ratchet and we play as Rivet, and we got to see both of them do the things that they do and live the way that they live, essentially. And I kind of like that. You know what I'm saying? But I think other than that, like the initial opening of the movie was a bold choice, and then right after that, like it kind of picked up the pace of just like, okay, we're back to what we already know type thing, and we get introduced to one of the main antagonists, the Spot.
The Spot.
The Spot. How do you feel
Crazy.
about the Spot, man? Like, what's really good? Talk to me.
You know what? This is one of those things that they 10 out of 10 home run for me. When you watch a movie trailer, you kind of look for like what's the spoilers, what's the story, don't give me too much information. And especially a movie like this, that's what you don't want to know.
Mhm.
And there is no way, unless you're deep in the comics or anything like that, the Spot looked like your normal, average, everyday villain.
Yep.
And it even started out like that.
They even
So
address it.
they even address it. So as you're
Yeah.
watching the movie, you're just kind of like, all right, this is normal. This is normal. This ain't what we really going after. And then it's just like, as the movie goes on,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow, even this villain
Yeah.
is growing on me, is evolving. And
Yeah.
and that's one thing that this movie does so well. The characters in it
Mhm.
all feel like they're growing, evolving, and explaining their actions that make sense.
Mhm.
And then the way they're going about things is clear.
Yeah.
And the Spot, his origin story seems so silly, so ridiculous, and it just the way Miles treats him
Mm-hmm.
fits.
Right.
And as the story goes along, the danger elevates. And
Mhm.
I'm like, oh my gosh, the guy in the trailer that I didn't care about.
Right.
So, to be honest, I really loved it because I loved seeing a villain really level up, and it
Mhm.
finally felt like, wow, they got me with that. Like I did not expect that from the trailer.
Yeah.
And shout out to the Spot. Shout out to the Spot.
That's what's up.
Because
That's what's up.
he was getting no respect, and this
Nah.
Halloween we may see some Spots out and about.
You think?
I think so. I think so. We're gonna get
Okay.
a Spot.
Well,
It's gonna be
technically,
me. I was kidding.
no. Technically, if you kind of dress up as a ghost, you kind of can already be a Spot. But that's
Exactly.
kind of here nor there. Yeah, I really like the Spot it too, because like with a lot of these characters, we really got to see them develop over the course of this movie, and Spot is just like one of multiple antagonists that that we got to see not only just kind of change, but like kind of just level up in their like what's the word? Demeanor, attitude, but it's like their starts with a C. Their conviction to their cause. So with the Spot being like, and we get to see like a flashback of like where he was at in the first movie and how they are tethered together, because Miles can technically help create him. It was really cool just to see like the whole thing of everybody kind of wanted to be take serious. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like one of the main themes of this movie was just being able to write your own story. Like when people put labels on you, and that's not necessarily what you identify as. Like a lot of these characters embody that, and whether they started off in more of a like a comedic realm like the Spot did, or you see Gwen kind of just like running away from her problems, Miles not disrespecting his parents, but just like in that constant having difficulties communicating type thing of like, oh, I can't tell you this, but just know I'm trying, and I really, really appreciate that, because we get to see that growth, especially with Miles, like as a Spider-Man, like from 1 to 2. And the first one, he was just learning how to become Spider-Man and really feel like I am the one. And then in this one, like after he's gained that confidence, now they're trying to rip it away, essentially. You know what I'm saying? So I think, bro, and especially like because I'm reading a lot of the comics, right? Miles is strong, y'all. Like he's
It
just getting
appears so. It
started,
appears so.
you know, and it's not even just like uh I'm stronger than you type thing. It's also just like a mental and like tactician type of thing where he's like really like yes he's more off the cuff and like not necessarily gonna go in with a plan essentially, but he's so like good at adapting and just like figuring it out that you know, and he has the powers to basically express those things. Like it's really cool, bro. It's really cool. But let's start talking a little bit about you know some of the pacing and the plots of the movie because one thing about it being a part one is that you know obviously there's going to be a part two. So like, did you feel any like pacing issues or you know kind of like any feelings that like kind of threw you off or like you know made you feel any type of way about the pacing of the joint?
I mean, just a little one. The family aspect, the school and stuff like that. It was a little
Yeah.
slow for me, but I kind of feel like after knowing that, there's part two technically to this whole story.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like they're trying to pay off this family aspect and uh, appreciation for your friends and family while they're there and how
Mm-hmm.
they are looking out for you. And even though Miles is busy being Spider-Man, like, you know, you got to
Yeah.
appreciate your family. You got to take some time to, admire them, love them, and show them respect. And I think they want that to pay off in the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to get into spoilers now, but
Right.
I felt like it was a little slow when I initially watched it just because we went from Gwen,
Mm-hmm.
her father, her story, and they were setting that whole family thing up. And then we go into Miles, his whole dad's party of his promotion becoming captain.
Right.
But we did have some action scenes with the spot beforehand, but there was
Mm-hmm.
just some real like low slowdown, and I was like, all right, well, where are we getting it? And then Gwen just popped back in, and then we go full throttle into the story. So it was a little slow there for me, but
Okay.
it wasn't too bad because it felt like, oh, they want to get this family, this storyline
Mm-hmm.
out now. Like,
Right.
let's get Gwen's family done. Let's get Miles' family's whole situation done now, and
Mm-hmm.
then full throttle. So, did you feel the same way or anything, or you thought it was perfect?
I'm usually not a fan of like the you know symbolic family moments and things like that just because most of the time it comes from a place of like the family's either just like not supporting the main character and doesn't you know really appreciate them or like it's coming from a place of loss or like something like that where it's like you can see it coming. But I feel like with this movie Miles' family is definitely his foundation and something that you know really makes him kind of like who he is and gives him the strength to like take those chances of like I'm a bet on myself type beat. So when it came to those portions of the movie, I was invested. I was invested. I like those moments. I can't say too much for Gwen just because like that part of the story is still you know new. Um, but as far as like the pacing for it, for me, I feel like the only issue I really have with it is just the you know whole part one effect. I couldn't help but feel that tension of like, oh, when is it gonna drop off? Like I know at some point in this movie, like it's gonna just be like that's it, and we gotta wait to the next one. I just hope it's not now. You know, like it really does feel like it kind of just like revs up to the end, and like there's a build up, and then we have the moment we'll get into in a little bit, and then it's just like okay, we got to move on to the next one. But you leave out on a high, which is a good thing. But you know, I definitely felt that kind of lag or dragging on at certain parts of the movie.
So you
Uh,
felt overall you could feel like if they made a full movie that we're definitely halfway through it,
yeah.
and you were like, oh,
Hmm.
this is gonna end soon.
Yeah, I can definitely feel those moments, and it's like if like the best way I can compare it is that like Dune Part One didn't feel like a Part One. Dune felt like a complete story, you know,
Yeah.
and it's really just Dune One, and then you'll get Dune Two, like, and then it'll be like another story. But this one felt like, oh yeah, this is really a part one of a series, which is like, I think my original beef with the part ones, because I do have a beef with part ones in like movies and TV shows and stuff, came from Attack on Titan, and then again it came up in Ozark because of the way that it was like advertised versus like what we actually saw. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. But for this movie, it definitely feels like a part one, and it feels justified because like I don't feel like I missed out on anything in the movie because it's part one. You know what I'm saying? I still feel like I got my money's worth in love of like content, and I'm definitely waiting for the next one. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. But you know, as far as the plot itself, how do you feel about like just, you know, the whole Spider-Verse thing? Like they
Plot, I'm giving it a million out of 10.
Okay.
Deep down, when I think about doing a sequel,
Mhm.
this is a perfect sequel.
Yeah.
The first one ends on a high note. The heroes did the hero things. They're
Mhm.
superheroes. And then the second movie, you kind of put them in their place,
Mhm.
and it just builds up the anticipation for the final what could happen in this one.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like for the plot, we got Spot, we got Spider-Verse,
Mhm.
figuring out that whole system of what do they call it, canon events,
Yep.
and we Spider-Man 2099, and we got Spider-Man,
Mhm.
all in like different type of fields, different type of moods, and explaining their positions. And
Yeah.
it's just so much plot in the movie
Mhm.
that I can rewatch it and be
Yeah.
like, wow,
Yeah.
like there's so much detail in this Spideyverse,
Mhm.
and it kind of makes the Spideyverse, the whole Spider Society, what are they called? I think it's Spider Society or
Something like that. Yeah.
yeah.
I gotta watch
Like,
it again.
oh, I can see why everyone's joining. Oh, I can see why this person
Mhm.
isn't really rocking with it. Um, and I just feel like all these different plots, all these individual Spider-Mans with their own canon origins, own
Yeah.
storylines, own personalities, why they would tug one way or another. Why
Mhm.
Miles, oh my gosh, Miles' entire storyline
Yeah.
went from like an A plus to a A plus 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 plus. I mean, I'm gonna just get into it.
Go
He
ahead.
ain't the Spider 42 from another dimension bit him, not supposed to bite him. He's
Mhm.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2099 hating on him. I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, that's a plot in and of itself, like a movie right there. Like you ain't
Yeah.
supposed to be Spider-Man. Like
Yeah.
even him, Miles trying to fit in with the Spidey verse because he's already feels like his destiny's already like out there for him. Like he's
Mhm.
Spider-Man in Brooklyn. He knows deep down like, oh, there's more that I
Out
could
there.
be doing. And
Yeah.
then when he sees that, he sees Gwen in it. He's like, oh my God, sign me up. Let's go. Let me meet everybody.
Right.
And even Spider-Man. Spider-Man is like a dad.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Like the plot, the the character motivation for each character is just so unique.
Mhm.
It's beautiful. So it's just not as simple as bad guy spot a villain. You know what I mean? We gotta go
Yeah.
stop him.
Mhm.
What do I do with the Spideyverse? What do I do with these canon events? Can I let these actions actually happen? Is it right or wrong to do?
Mhm.
To this Spider-Man, I can't let that happen. To that Spider-Man, I have to.
Yeah.
Even Gwen. It's just so incredible because when I rewatch this movie,
Right.
it's gonna make you think like, whose side am I really on? Because let's just get into this. Spider-Man
Okay.
2099, he himself started a whole canon event and it went bad.
Mhm.
So he wants to prevent everybody from doing these canon events.
Mhm.
But he still did one.
Right. Right.
So it's just like, oh, because that went bad. What about Miles? Like Miles, he's pretty much writing Miles' story for him. And
Mhm. He's operating in a place of fear. You know what I'm saying? Because he
yeah,
lost the most important thing to him, which was his daughter, because like
family, most
family.
important thing.
Right. Right.
And in the
So
first movie, remember, Kingpin was trying to get his
Bring
family
his.
from another dimension.
Yep.
So like this family aspect is revolving around so many decisions, so many
Mm-hmm.
plot points. Even original Spider-Man,
Mm-hmm.
like having a daughter is involved in the
Right.
plot. So
Right.
it's just so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And for a second movie,
Crazy.
I just don't know how they're not. I don't know how they're gonna top it off. I can't
Right.
wait till they top it off because I trust them. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like they got it. They got the story.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
I know
it's
I went on a rant there, but there's a lot
nah, it
to
was
think
good.
about.
It was good. It was good. I mean, cause I like when I think about this movie initially, I really was just like, yo, why is uh Spider-Man 2099 so mad at Miles? You know?
Hating.
And it's not even that he's mad at Miles, it's more that he's mad at himself.
Yep.
And then
And that's the good thing. It's like a different plot, a different character development. He's
yeah,
not actually mad at Miles.
right. And then like just it's they're dealing in fate with this whole thing with the Spider-Verse, right? And because these canon events need to happen, it goes to the point of like kind of like what you were saying of like, okay, we're basically choosing who we get to save and who we don't. Right? We have this
Yep.
we have these powers, we can go out and save them, but when you interfere with those canon moments, then everything in your world could cease to exist. Which
Yeah.
is crazy in itself. And I feel like the only reason why this happened to and what's only reason why this happened to Spider-Man 2099 and what makes Miles' situation so much different is that Miles isn't trying to replace somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like Spider-Man 29 was in a whole other universe and replaced one of himself to live out a better life,
Mhm.
and because of that, that's what created the ripple or the spot, whatever you want to call it, of everything basically being erased, and it was that I feel like changes things versus with Miles, because they now told him that his dad is going to die and he knows that and he's going to try to prevent it. Now, oh, he's out of bounds, so we have to stop him. We have to keep him here so that the canon event happens the way that it needs to happen. But it's just like, who are you to choose? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you get those moments of the movie where like people start to doubt themselves. Spider-Man is supposed to be the good guys,
Mhm.
and Miguel even brings it up and tries to like, reinvigorate the troops of like, no, we're the good guys. We're doing the right thing. Because I feel like at its core, what Miguel is trying to do makes sense, right?
Yep.
Like
100%.
especially after the first movie of like all these people and things, these people and villains and stuff like that are getting teleported to different universes and are becoming anomalies themselves. Like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Like you create a task force to go out and put them back to where they are supposed to go. Which is also one of my favorite things in this movie because we got so many cameos of like just the whole spider thing. Like I think my favorite was probably between the video game Spider-Man and then Donald Glover, because he was the Prowler, but the Prowler for Tom Holland, and it was just like an ode to that. And I was just like, oh, they're thinking of everything. They're thinking of everything. And like the concept of like putting people back is simple, but when you get to the point of that you're like making decisions of, who gets to live and who gets to die, that just doesn't seem right. And for Miles to be the first person to kind of like check Spider-Man 2099 and it's surprising to me because like
because it's like, do we have to go down this road to
yeah,
be Spider-Man? And for
right.
Miguel, it's like a ritual. Like you
Mm-hmm.
cannot be Spider-Man if you do not know loss of pretty
Right.
much your parent, the person who raised you, or something. You know what I mean?
And
Like
it's not
every
like he
Spider-Man
didn't it's not like he didn't lose anybody. He lost his uncle. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, fate is continuously going to happen. I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's continuously going to keep happening. Of like what is sacrifice versus loss, and where do you get to choose, and like, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. But keep going.
No, I mean that's exactly right. And some people will watch this movie and 100% say like, yeah, Miguel makes the most sense. I mean, we can't just be doing this. And then some
Yeah.
people will say, well, Miles is right because
Mm.
you can't just decide me saving my dad or Uncle Ben
Right.
is the right or wrong call.
Yeah.
And Miguel is just using what you said, the experience of going into another dimension,
Mm-hmm.
and that messing up everything as, you know what, we can't be doing this.
Yeah. We don't want this to keep happening. And I wonder like what he was talking about before, when, you know, he was like to Peter, whatever, like the old Spider-Man with the daughter, of like, we can't have that happening, right, Peter, or whatever. And I was like, what does he mean by that? You know, like, I was confused. But you know, like, the plot is good. The plot is good, and I really really enjoy it. Like, Miles being the original Anomaly, was just so tough to me. You know what I'm saying? And it just speaks to just like how unique his powers are, and just how like it's good, and it leads us to, you know, what's going to be happening in the second movie, or the third movie, I should say. You know, with, you know, after the most epic chase in all of Spider-Man, you know,
Pretty much Miles decides he wants to save his dad.
Yeah.
He's gonna abandon the Spidey Academy. Doesn't want to be with them, and he's not gonna let them decide his story.
Mm-hmm.
He jumps into the Spideyverse teleporter that takes you to different dimensions,
Mm-hmm.
and it scans his DNA and takes him to the wrong dimension.
Crazy. Like,
and not only that,
oh my gosh, keep going.
in this dimension, this is the dimension where the spider was supposed to bite Peter Parker. So this one has no Spider-Man at all.
Yep.
And Miles learns about his fate. If he doesn't become Spider-Man, he becomes the Prowler.
No.
And I ain't talking about no normal Prowler. This Miles was hard. Yeah. This one came from Brooklyn. I'm not gonna lie, Miles. The way he even said his name,
right?
I was like, why is this guy so tough? This is gonna be epic.
Yeah. This is why
I gotta see it night one. This
is why, like, you gotta put respect on these voice actors, man. Because like the different Miles felt so like drastically different from each other, you know.
I'm telling you, one felt like he was from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Miles be chilling, you know.
And it's like, when we first initially saw it, like, I feel like that moment was probably even more wild, because like, once his mom was like, "What's Spider-Man?" And I was like, oh, like, because
I didn't even notice she said you changed your hair, and I was like,
yeah,
I don't get it.
And
like,
then,
there's so much stuff you can watch when you rewatch this movie.
Yeah, and then simultaneously, while this is happening, Gwen is trying to find Miles, essentially, but she goes to the right universe. And it's like, we're starting to see these things side by side, and they both realize, like, oh, he's in the wrong universe. Yeah. With Miles, no way to get back.
Yeah.
And then
no way to get back.
We get surprised by seeing Uncle Aaron, and that's when you realize, like, okay, yeah, this is definitely wrong. This is definitely wrong. And just seeing, you know, seeing Prowler Miles, I don't know. That's so crazy, bro.
That was like showing a supervillain.
Yeah.
Like, the first time seeing, oh man, this is about to be the best fight ever. And then he was like, "Oh, your dad alive?"
Right.
All right. Like,
it's so good.
I don't know why that was just the best introduction for a villain.
Right. And that's when I really felt like, oh, part 2? Oh, I need it. Because it just opened up a whole nother storyline that we weren't necessarily expecting. Because like we knew the Spot and we didn't know how like major the Spot was going to end up becoming. Because we didn't really talk about like, Miles going to India and stuff like that in the different universes, just because like those moments are cool, but it's not, plot essential. It's just like you're getting to really see what happens if a canon event occurs and it doesn't go the way it's supposed to go, essentially. Which they still didn't really explain like how they're going to close that whole thing. It's kind of just like there, they contain it. That's what they do. You know what I'm saying? But just, seeing like the possibilities of, for one, we're getting another epic team up. They're bringing the gang back together. We got new teammates. Spider-Punk go crazy, right?
Yeah.
And then we
One
still
of the best
got
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 2099 on a hunt, and Miles is tied up. It's gonna go crazy, man. It's gonna go crazy because it's like after the chase, when he finally gets home, he has a sigh of relief, and we don't even really notice like his room is mad different. Like it's not as colorful. There's not a whole bunch of stuff on the walls. Like he's an artist, right? But it's very different from where we're used to. But he gets that sense of like, oh, I can breathe now, and it's just the craziest setup, bro. Like I was freaking mind blown, bro. I was freaking mind blown.
And I love his speech to his mom, pretty much like, I went to all these incredible places, met all these incredible people, and you was right. Like they weren't looking out for me or looking after me like you guys would. And it's kind of like he got the appreciation of his parents, like coming from an understanding. Like I see why my parents are like how they are, but it's not his mom. Like he's not telling it to his mom, and the fact that this Miles lost his dad, like that Miles has a whole different perspective of like, oh, like you still have your dad. That's crazy. Like, all right, And what Miles doesn't understand is like he's always had his dad. This one, so this one's motivation may be either I'm gonna take him away, make you feel how I feel, or
we're gonna switch spots.
We're gonna switch spots because I ain't grow up with no dad, and it just brings back to like this idea of how important family is.
Yeah.
And even with the Gwen's team, I mean, they bring in the real Spidey family back. I mean, we get all the same Spideys from the original Into universe or movie. They're all coming back for Beyond.
Plus two more.
Plus two more. Yeah. And even when Spider-Man was like talking to
technically 3, because we got the baby too. Yeah.
He's like, you ain't take the baby on an adventure, and he's like, no. And then he's like, you ready for one more? And she was like, shoot. I was like, like this is it's wholesome.
Yeah.
It's smart. It's well thought. And there's just so much animation, so much creativity that this is what I'm talking about when you can watch a movie and you can watch it again.
Yeah.
Like, there is no way I can't watch this movie again and say like, oh, wow, that soundtrack was even better. Like, dang, I didn't really realize that the soundtrack this time, or I didn't even see that Spider-Man. I didn't see this thing. Oh, this is why so-and-so did whatever. Like, even the Spot, he said, my friends and family can't even recognize me.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. It's such a good sequel, and I love putting the good guy in the second movie in the bad spot. Because now it's how is he coming back? How is he escaping? How is he this thing is
so many questions.
What is that Star Wars movie? Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
It's like, how the heck is Miles going to escape the Prowler? He has to beat the Prowler. He has to get out of that universe. Then he has to beat Spider-Man 2099. And guess what? We have to stop the Spot.
Right. Still.
Still, it's so good. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy, bro. And it's
Now that I said that, 6 out of 10.
nah,
Maybe
that's wow. We would stop this podcast right now. It's like no. But yeah, man, I couldn't have said it better myself, bro. I mean, like it's touching on such a touchy subject for a lot of people of like, just not only just family, but just having a dad. And, we're gonna be able to see what Miles would be like if he grew up without a dad, and
Mhm.
how that shaped him because like you said, like his family is such a huge part of like his foundation and what gives him the strength to stand on his own faced with like uh impossible circumstances, like
Every single Spider-Man after you.
right, and it's just like, bro, he's him. Like Miles
He
is
is. He
Miles
is.
is the best freaking Spider, and I can't wait to the moment that the third movie comes out and I'm able to get all three, and I'm gonna just be watching them like all the way through, and it's just
And
gonna
and
be
what's
a
so
great time.
interesting is the first one, it pretty much blends perfectly going into the second one.
Yeah, yeah,
And the
because
fact that the
yeah,
second one is for sure, like you said, it's
hmm
part one. You cannot
yeah,
separate that. You
hmm
clearly can tell this is like a part one movie.
right,
It is incredible that the first Into the Spider Verse blends so well with this storyline.
yeah, because the first one is like, oh, I'm Spider Man. I mean, and the
Yeah,
second one is like, oh, being Spider Man is not enough. And the third
yeah,
one's gonna be like, I don't even know. It's just like I'm Spider Man
yeah,
now, but it's like, dang, what if, like, I don't know. It's so good. It's so good.
yeah. What does it
Final,
mean to be Spider Man? I don't know.
yeah, like I can't even tell you because I just know they're gonna do it right. That's the only thing I
Yeah.
know. I know they're gonna do it right. Um, but some of the things that we were saying earlier, is like the Easter eggs go crazy. I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna try. I'm gonna wait for the videos to start coming out to see all the different Easter eggs. I think my favorite Easter egg was seeing Genki playing Spider Man. I think that was probably my favorite. Seeing all the different live action Spider Man too, uh, and yeah, I think the spot is looking definitely dangerous, but I'm more excited for Miguel's story arc because he gonna have to lock in because the way Young is acting right now, like a lot of them Spider-Mans is ops for real. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what side of the fence you leaning on, like Chris was saying earlier, but I'm rolling with Miles, bro. That's 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 all I got, bro. But yeah, man. I guess it's time to give scores. Do you got anything else you want to get into before we do that?
Uh, hey, shout out to the Spot leveling up. This dude learned how to use
Hmm.
his powers quickly. He showed it
Yeah.
off a little bit.
Hmm.
Uh, and dang, those powers started going crazy. I would not have expected that. So shout out to the Spot. Most unexpected villain that I've saw in a while.
All right. So obviously, I'm giving it 10 out of 10. You know, it's the best movie I've seen all year, and I'm probably gonna go see it again soon. I'm definitely going to buy it when it comes out, and there's just so many more things that like I wish I could like rewind and like look at it again, like from just all the different Spider-Man to just seeing the conversations and seeing like the plot build from watching the first movie to watching this one. I feel like it'll go even more crazy, you know.
Oh yeah,
Um, but yeah, what you got for the score? What you giving it?
I'm giving it a 10. It's
Oh,
definitely the
okay.
best animated movie.
Yeah,
I just can't even the animation alone is enough for a 10. There
yeah,
are so many crazy shots, crazy anime, like even like you said, Gwen's world, it being that pastel, and even when she hugs her dad, it glows different colors or splashes of watercolor, different colors. Uh, what was his name? The Spider-Man from the UK.
Uh,
Dang.
Spider-Punk, but like
Yeah, Spider-Punk. I can't remember his name.
his name is I don't know.
Dang. The
I don't know.
disrespect.
I don't know.
Spider-Punk's animation was really cool too, and I
Yeah.
just think these types of movies actually push the boundaries of what you can do with animation. Like
Hmm.
there are so much different styles of animation, different
Yeah.
things
Hmm.
that they tried, and it reminds me of the first movie. Let's go with this type of animation style, see how it works, and then the second one.
Hmm.
Wow, we got so much better at this. We know exactly what we're doing. We know exactly what kind of shots we want to do,
Yeah.
and uh I just think it's good.
They
Soundtrack
definitely leveled
not
up.
as good as the first one in my opinion, but
I
it's
agree.
still quite good. And yeah, it's definitely the best animated movie this year. Not one's not gonna beat it.
Mhm.
I might as well give the next movie a 10 out of 10 too, because they're not gonna fail me. So shout out
Okay.
to Prowler Miles
Mm-hmm.
for you being so short in the movie.
Big
Dang.
impact.
This was
Impact.
a 9, it'd be 10 out of 10 after that introduction too. So I'm hyped. I'm happy to give this a 10 out of 10 stamp of approval.
There you go. There you go. See, y'all hear it first, man. Go see that jump. I'm surprised if you haven't seen it already. You know what I'm saying? There's a
And
lot
the
to
first
take
one was
away.
slept on.
Right, right. The first one slept on like the ones from this movie. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes it's not it. I'm not gonna cap. But after seeing the movie, I get why the like they got the polka dots on there because it's a spot. You know, but they still don't really hit like I thought they was gonna hit. But you know, it is what it is. You can't win them all. And I agree. Like the Metro Boomin soundtrack, it's cool. It's cool, but it don't got the iconic song. You know that I
Yeah,
was expecting. Um, but I'm not mad at it though. I'm not mad at it. And he
exactly.
finessed his way into the movie too, which is cool. Um, but yeah, man. That's pretty much it. That's all we got. Chris, what you geeked about?
Ooh, there is a new HBO show
Mm-mm.
that
Max
is
show.
wild. Oh, but yeah, Max. God, HBO doesn't even exist no more. A new Max show
Okay.
that I have watched and I will be watching. I don't know if it's gonna be good, but it's
Okay.
called The Idol.
I
And
heard of this.
boy, this is some rated R stuff. This is some old HBO version. I
Okay.
just had a peek of it today. I really wasn't excited to watch it.
Okay.
Got off work, ate some food. I watched this show.
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to keep my eye on it.
Okay.
It's gonna be a
Who
weekly thing.
who's in it? Who's in it?
I don't even know. I don't
Okay.
even know the main
It's a,
character. It's pretty much just like a celebrity, say like a Britney Spears person. We
okay.
follow their life. They're gonna drop an album, and then the weekend
Okay.
comes out of nowhere. He owns this nightclub. He's like, "What's up?
The
You
literal
know,
weekend, y'all. Not saying he not saying the week like on the weekend. It's like
yeah,
person
the
artist.
artist. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
acting, and he meets up with her, and some 50 Shades of Grey stuff starts going. 50 Shades of Grey stuff starts going down. He
Freak
starts talking
man.
about her music. I was like, yo, this is I don't know what this is, but this reminds me of HBO. So Max is on
Okay.
another level with this one. So I'm excited. I'm gonna say I'm geeked about that. But what you geeked about?
Okay. I thought you was talking about the uh Scarlet Witch don't. What's her name? Elizabeth Olsen. She got a show
Oh,
on
something to die,
yeah, something like that. That's what I thought you was talking about, but
ready to die, maybe.
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I don't know. I feel like it's like people and or something like
Yeah.
that. But that's what I thought because I was gonna watch that, but I'm gonna have to check. I'm gonna have to check that one out too. But what I'm geeked about this week is I think really just Class of '09. You know, I've watched a couple more episodes of that. I still got to catch up. It's on Hulu. Um, Hulu's been glitching out though recently. Like I can watch it on my computer, but not on like my regular devices like recently. But they fixed it. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just me or not, but it was. I couldn't watch nothing for a little while, so I'm glad to have that back. Um, and it's just basically like a Quantico show, but like it's set in the future, the past, and the present, and it's kind of like they end up having to spy on their own, but you're watching like the set amount of characters that was in this one class do things throughout this time period because something crazy done happen. And I like it. I like it. What else? Anything else specifically? Nah, Transformers come out. I'm not really excited about that, but I'm gonna see it. I watched Shazam. It was alright. It was alright. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Shazam 2 out of 10. Y'all don't watch that.
2 out of 10. I think I gave it a 7.5. Give it a 7.5. But that's
they
right
lost
above
the unicorns eating Skittles.
Yeah, that was weird. But I don't know. I like the jokes. But that's gonna do it for us this week, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in once again. We're coming up on the 100th episode, so definitely lock in with us. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button as well. Leave a comment. If you are listening to this on your favorite audio platforms, give us a rating. Leave a comment, 5 stars, and yeah, we'll see y'all next week, man. Stay geeked. Peace.
Later, y'all.